Hello and welcome to this video. In this video I have a special message for anybody who is anything like me. Now, I have a penchant for get-rich-quick schemes. You know, any book that I can find, any magazine that I can find that's going to tell me how to make more money, I'm interested because I'm a factory worker and I know there's a better way out there than to live paycheck to paycheck, and when you retire, hope that your 401k doesn't run out of money before you die. That's just not appealing to me, and I don't think it's appealing to many other people either. So as a result of that, you know, I go around and I find these different marketing opportunities and whatnot. For example, I'm holding some magazines in my hand right here. We have small business opportunities, home business, and entrepreneur. So inside these magazines is a veritable pitch fest of all kinds of different businesses that they're trying to sell to you. And the entire point of this video is that not all of them are created equal. Now, it's important to say that I can't sit here and tell you what is right or wrong for you. A lot of that is going to depend on you personally. What are your goals? What is the amount of money that you're willing to invest? What kind of time and effort are you willing to put into it? So, that said, there is no right or wrong here. However, you know, I'm going to demonstrate that these things are not created equal. Some have more potential than others. So, a little bit about myself. This is not my first rodeo. I've been in this game for a while, and I've actually learned quite a few things, which is why I'm putting this information out to you. For example, some of the things that I've looked into is real estate, stock trading, MLM, and online marketing. These are all some pretty different fields. You know, they require different things in order to be successful in them. So what it comes down to is sales. And without sales, you don't make any money. And that's a big roadblock for a lot of people, including myself, because I don't consider myself a very good salesman. Now, a lot of these opportunities that you're going to find, they'll say no sales necessary. Well, that's a red flag, because if you're not selling, that means that you're relying on the company to sell. And if the company is selling for you, then your income is dependent upon their actions. It's right back to having another job again. You know, they determine how much you make, they determine when you sell, when you can take a vacation, etc. There's a pretty simple formula when it comes to sales to figure out how much potential that your opportunity has. Now, this is a formula that I learned from a book called The Millionaire Fast Lane by M.J. DeMarco, and it goes like this: scale times magnitude equals wealth. Now, this is pretty easy to understand. Scale is how much of something that you sell. Magnitude is the price that you sell it for. And the combination of two is how much wealth that you can make. Okay, I'm going to take the time to break down some of these opportunities that I've looked into. But before I do, I want to mention something else that's just as important as the scale times magnitude formula. And that is about how easy it's going to be to sell whatever it is that you're selling. Now, there's something, a well-known formula in the sales world, and it goes like this. They have to know you, like you, and trust you in order to buy from you. And another side note to that, if you are in direct sales, they want to see you as an expert in your field as well. So, that being said, if you can't sell whatever it is that you're getting into, whatever opportunity that you have, then your money-making potential is gone. So, let's take a look at some of these opportunities. Okay, we got, let's say, zero down real estate. I've tried stock trading. I've tried MLM, and I've tried online marketing. So we'll break down those, and then I'm going to show you in the end of this video an opportunity that's working for me, and we're going to use the same formulas to analyze it. And this opportunity is so far outside of the box that most people wouldn't even consider it until after I actually explain how it holds up using these formulas. Okay, so let's get into it. Zero down real estate. Now, when you see these infomercials, they don't really tell you what's going on. They make it sound like it's going to be the easiest thing in the world, and nothing could be further from the truth. In order to get a zero down property, you have to convince the owner to accept monthly payments and with no money down. So, as you can imagine, that's a pretty tough sale. And the way you're going to pay them back is to have tenants inside that building who pay you rent and therefore pay that mortgage to them. So, as you can imagine, if you get a zero down property and one of your tenants decides not to pay, suddenly, you're on the hook for, $600, $700, $800 or more in that month. So as you can imagine, that could bankrupt you pretty quickly if you're not careful. So there's a lot of veneer on the TV ads, but zero down real estate is actually a very, very risky business, because you're putting yourself on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and if you earn like 30 grand a year and you have like $200,000 or $300,000 in mortgages, well, if the tenants stop paying, that's going to bankrupt you in the blink of an eye. So, in my opinion, zero down real estate is really dangerous for most people. Okay, now, next one we'll talk about, back when the dot-com bubble was going crazy, I got into day trading like a lot of people did. And I saw a book called The Wall Street Money Machine by Wade B. Cook. And I learned a lot. There was a lot of neat ideas in there. I learned about things like rolling stock and stock splits and stock options. A lot of really creative ways to anticipate what a stock is going to do. However, you have no control over what that stock's going to do. And like a lot of people, I got burned when the bubble burst. However, I will say this about stock trading. With stock trading, the sale is easy. Okay, so anybody who's afraid of sales or not good at sales, like myself, stock trading offers an option where you don't have to be a good salesman, because basically as soon as you put that stock up for sale, if you're using the online platform, that thing is gone in like a nanosecond. So that makes it really, really easy. So, as far as that goes, I like stock trading. However, stock trading is more like gambling than it is investing, because you're not getting something of value up front. Enron proved that. With a lot of people, they put their entire life savings into Enron, the Enron employees. And when Enron went down, basically the common shareholders were locked out of that stock until all the preferred shareholders were able to get out. And by the time the common shareholders were able to sell their stock, it had lost over 95% of its value. So you can't tell me that you actually own something of value there, because you don't. You are the low man on the totem pole, so to speak. So that's a really dangerous position to be in. So unless you're making money up front through like dividends or something, then you're basically looking into a crystal ball and trying to guess where the stock is going to go. And that's not investing, that's gambling. So, that said, let's move on to MLM. Now, MLM has a really shiny veneer to it. These guys make it sound like it is the best business on the face of the planet. And it does have a lot of advantages to it. But it also has some big drawbacks as well. Now, the advantage to MLM is, number one, it's cheap to get into. Number two, it has a ton of leverage. Basically, the downline structure that it's based on naturally creates leverage. But the downside to that leverage is that most people that get inside that MLM are never going to make any money. The very structure determines that. And again, you have to think about what it is that you're selling when you get involved in one of these MLMs. That people really want what you're selling. Like one of these things that I looked into was something called the Numis Network, and they sold basically it was silver eagles, which is silver bullion, and they were selling brand new silver eagles at very, very high grade, but the thing is they were duping everybody, saying that they had collectible value, but these things had been printed so much that really the numismatic value of the coin was pretty much worthless. The only thing that you were buying is the silver, and you were overpaying big time. At the time, I believe silver was trading for like around $17 to $20 a share, and yet these people were paying $75 to $100 per coin, I believe it was. And if you're not paying for numismatic value, then you are totally getting ripped off in that situation. So I don't see that as being something that I would want to do. Even if I could get somebody to buy these, I know in my heart that I'm not selling them something of value. Basically, it's a massive con job in my personal opinion. Now, the thing about MLMs, and there are MLMs that sell things of value, but most of them are wildly overpriced. The question is, are the people that you're going to be selling to, do they really want what you have to offer, or do they want the opportunity? You have to have a product that is valuable and stands on its own. If you don't have that, the MLM is worthless. And the reason why is because you reach market saturation really, really fast. Now, back in the old days when you had chain letters, it reached fast, but you could actually survive for a while. And now that things have gone online, there's this grand misconception. People are saying that it got better, but it actually got worse because of things like Google searches. Okay, market saturation happens so fast, and let me demonstrate what that is. Okay, let's say that you jump into Amway or whatever the latest, greatest MLM is, and people do a Google search, but they search for Amway, and basically they pull up a page that has like 10 results or so. And where are these people going to go? They're going to go on whatever hits first. They might look at what hits second, maybe even get as far as the 5th one down. However, are they going to go to page 2 or page 3 or page 100 where you're more likely to be? Not a snowball's chance in hell. Basically, if you aren't in the top 5, you are screwed. So that gets into SEO marketing, and that's a whole other ball of wax. It's not a game that I really like to play. MLM basically boils down to this: if your product isn't something fantastic that stands on its own and people really, really want it, then dump the thing, because the entire system is worthless. It's structurally flawed because it's made to saturate and saturate quickly, rather than giving you something of value that has some kind of longevity to it. Now, the latest thing that I've been getting into is online marketing. I tried something called Product Launch Formula, or PLF for short. Some of you may have heard of Jeff Walker. I really like the idea. However, it comes back to the whole sales thing again. And I'm the first to admit that, I'm a horrible salesman. I'm a factory worker, I got a foul mouth, and I bring home a small paycheck. why on earth are people going to buy from me is basically the thought that I have. So while I'm giving it my all to make this work, I'm also realistic about my chances, because you do have to present yourself well. You have to be well spoken, and these are things that I don't necessarily consider myself. I can teach. I've been around the block a few times. I have some interesting things to show people, so hopefully that can overcome these first obstacles. But you know, when it comes to sales itself, I'm just not comfortable with it, like a lot of people that I know. Now, any one of these opportunities can work. It's all about whether you're willing to put the work in, whether you're able to sell it. And you know, I've got the list there. I have the opportunity magazines in my hands right here, and using the simple formulas I given, we can analyze these things within seconds and tell whether it's something that's worth doing. Like, okay, in this particular ad I'm looking at, it says, "Start your own business, revolutionary tile and grout cleaning system. Restore and reseal tile and grout. Complete package, $5,995. And under here it says, earn $75 to $150 per hour. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds kind of inflated to me. My mechanic doesn't make $75 an hour, and I would certainly pay a mechanic more money than I'm going to pay for someone to clean tile and grout, which is a glorified janitor job. So, in my opinion, no good. Okay, here's another one that I see a lot in the magazines, called Starscapes. So let me read this one to you. "It's not unheard of to make up to $1,800 in a day by simply showing your free star portal. That's right, it's free, you can't lose. See the effect for yourself, then show it to your friends. Let them tell you if people will buy it." Okay, $1,800 in a day to stick pictures of stars on your ceiling. Okay, so I want you to think about this. How many people do you know are going to want to put pictures of stars on their ceiling? Now, it might be kind of cool. There might be a few people out there, but are you really going to make $1,800 in a day? I call bullshit. That's gone. Okay, so here's one that sounds a little more reasonable. This is actually a franchise. This is an entrepreneur magazine, and it's an ad for Liberty Tax. Okay, business ownership is in your DNA. Nearly 1 in 10 of all businesses are owned by veterans. Okay, so you know how to work within a proven system and how to lead. So they're sucking up to veterans here. The startup cost begins at $59,000. Tax experience is a plus but not needed. IRS projects a yearly increase in taxpayers. Special incentives for veterans. Okay. Now, I can understand that this would work. However, in my mind, what you're doing is purchasing a glorified job. It's a glorified seasonal job at that. So, does this really sound like the kind of opportunity that you want? Okay, you look at the scale and the magnitude of it. You know, you're going to get a decent amount of customers, I think, as long as you promote well. But you know, it's only going to be for a few months out of the year. You know, what do you do for the rest of the year? And you know, how many customers is it going to take to recoup that $59,000? That sounds a little steep for me, considering that it's like a part-time job. So basically, gone. Okay, now I'm going to talk about an opportunity that is so far outside of the box that I was embarrassed to even tell people that I was thinking about it when I first started. Now, what this is called is advantage play. And basically, what we're talking about is professional gambling. Okay, there's many kinds of professional gambling that actually does make money. And I've studied several, but the one that most people are familiar with is what we call card counting. Now, I've looked into card counting, I've looked into sports betting, I've looked into roulette bias, and I've looked into dice control. But we're going to stick with talking about card counting for this example. And I'm going to tell you how it stacks up to the other opportunities that we looked at. And as a reminder, like I said before, there is no right or wrong here. Just because I discard these other opportunities doesn't mean that somebody else couldn't take any one of those other opportunities that I mentioned and run with it and make a fortune. Okay? It all depends on the person involved. But this one suits me better than all of the others. And I'm going to explain the reasons why. Okay? Now, we going back to the discussion about sales, if you're not good at sales, then you want something that is either sold for you or sells really easily, almost automatic. And in the case of advantage play, this is a really easy sale, excuse me. So, let me explain this. A bet is a very unique kind of sale. What's going on there is a casino is daring you to play their game, and whoever wins gets the money. So you don't really have to worry about selling when you're a card counter. Okay, the casino is already daring you to come in and lay your money down and see if you can walk away with a profit or not. Now, a lot of people are pretty skeptical of this. Everybody's heard the saying that the house always wins. This is simply not true. And basically what it is it all comes down to percentages. And whoever has the winning edge is going to make money over the longer period of time. And every single casino game is set up with one of these edges. As a professional gambler, it's your responsibility, your task, to flip that percentage over into your corner instead of the casino's. And card counting is a method of doing that. Basically speaking, what happens when you're card counting is you're tracking the high cards inside of the deck. Now, when there's more high cards left in the deck than there are low cards, the odds favor the player over the house. And there's several reasons for this, but essentially the dealer has to hit until they hit 17. And when there's more high cards in the deck, if they've got a low card, it's likely that they're going to have a high card underneath, which means if they hit, they're going to bust. And the second reason behind this is when blackjacks are dealt, there's going to be more blackjacks dealt when there's a lot of high cards in the deck than there are when there's a lot of low cards. And this favors the player as well, because the payout for blackjack is 3-2. So if I bet $100 on a hand of blackjack and I win, I'm going to get 150. Whereas if the dealer gets blackjack, he only gets 100. So that favors the player as well. Now, there's a lot of math behind it. Ed Thorpe basically figured this stuff out back in the 60s using a supercomputer, which is a joke by today's standards, but back then that was cutting edge technology. So, bottom line is, most of you know that card counting is real and it's something that works, because there's a famous movie out there called 21, and it's loosely based on the exploits of the MIT blackjack team, which took Vegas for millions of dollars. Now, there are other teams out there as well. There's another movie called Holy Rollers, which featured something called the Church Team, and they took, I think it was about $3 million out over about 3 years over the course of that movie, which was a documentary. And then there's more famous players once you get into, those who aren't into gambling haven't heard of these names, but those who are, these are basically the stars of blackjack. You know, people like Ken Houston and Tommy Highland. They ran teams of their own and made tons of money. So, what is it about counting cards that makes me think that it's better than these other opportunities that I just talked to you about? It goes right back to the scale times magnitude equals wealth formula. And, well, let's compare it to, say, the average local job. Okay? Where I work, you know, you can work 40 to 60 hours a week on average. That is your scale. And about $15 an hour. So, you're kind of locked into that. You know, you can't make much more. You might be able to work a 70-hour week, but you definitely can't work a 90 or 100 hours a week. Number one, they wouldn't do it. Number two, you'd be killing yourself. Okay? Well, compare that with blackjack. Okay? If you're playing fairly quickly, you can play 100 hands in an hour. Okay? That said, in a single session, you could easily play as many as 500 hands. So the scale is off the charts compared to what you can do in a week working at a job. So at 500 hands, you know, in a single session, well, let's say that you work 4 days a week counting cards. Well, now your scale is at 2,000 as opposed to, you know, 60 to 70 on the high end working a job. Now, compare that with, you know, say the MLM, the real estate, any of these other opportunities that we talked about. Okay, let's take the real estate. Let's say that you have a duplex. Okay, the most money that you're going to get from that is you have 2 different tenants paying you per month. So, yeah, that's your cap. You know, that's your scale. Okay, so with MLM, well, let's say that you're really working hard and you're able to get 30 people in an entire week. Okay, as far as MLM goes, that's really good, but your scale is on the low end again. So, you know, you're talking a handful, you know, anywhere from 2 to 70 as compared to 2,000 with card counting. Now, that's just a scale. Okay, on the other end, you know, say you're working that job, you're making $15 an hour. Okay, well, if you ask your boss if you can bump that up to $50 an hour, he's going to laugh at you. It's just not going to happen. However, when you're sitting at the blackjack table, a $50 bet they won't even bat an eye at. Okay, you can bet $1,000, or if you're playing high stakes, you can bet way more than that. But even just low stakes blackjack, you know, $5 to $500 is the lowest limits that I've seen. So, you know, at the high end of that is $500. So your magnitude is way, way above, you know, working a job. So basically, card counting has both the scale and the magnitude, and it will completely outpace any job that you can find. You know, you could spend 6 to 8 years going to school to become a lawyer or a doctor and still not be able to have the earning potential that you would have counting cards. And that's one of the main appeals to me. The other appeal to it is that I don't have to sell that to the casino. Now, a lot of people think that card counting is illegal. That is not true. Card counting is you using your mind to play the game by the rules that the casino established. Now, they frown upon it. However, it's not illegal. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, some of the many advantages I see with card counting is you have a minimal startup. Okay. Now, it's not the cheapest to start. I would say MLM is probably king when it comes to that. However, you can get started with $2,000 and be able to do this. Now, there's a very high earning potential with this. Okay, unlike working a job where you're stuck working so many hours and you basically can't determine whether you're going to get a raise or not. This, you can use compound interest and go into the stratosphere with it. Okay, it is entirely possible to earn $1,000 a day doing this. With high stakes, you can get into $10,000 and higher. So basically, what we're talking about is 6 to 7 figure income potential here. Now, with that said, if you're starting out with $2,000, you're not going to be starting at that level, but you can work your way up to it, which is something you can't say of your job. Okay, now moving on, there's something called team play, and there's several reasons to do team play, but one of them is to mitigate the amount of risk that you take, and it can also help lower that cost of entry. You know, let's say that $2,000 is pretty steep for you. You know, it's steep for a lot of us. Well, if you've got 4 people on your team, you know, now it only takes $500 to get into the game. You're not going to make a lot of money to start out, but you're in the game and you can start compounding, and that will eventually increase to the point where you're making a substantial amount of money. Now, some points to think about with card counting is, number one, it's not easy money. Okay, anybody who thinks it is got a hole in their head. This is a very difficult skill to attain, but you don't have to be a genius to do it. It's simple math, but there's a lot of memorization. Okay, basic strategy is, in my opinion, more complicated than the actual act of counting cards itself. Okay, you've got an entire chart that tells you what kind of moves that you need to make. What are the mathematically optimal moves to make when the dealer has this card and you have these cards. So you need to know when to split, when to stand, when to double down, all this kind of stuff. And that's a learning curve there. And then once you get to know the basic strategy, there is appropriate times to deviate from that strategy as well. Say the count is +6 and the dealer has got a 5 and the other card is face down. You've got 2 10s. Basic strategy says never split those. Well, because the count is high, it's very, very likely that the dealer is going to bust. So it makes sense to split those, and you make twice as much as you normally would. So with these variations, they call them deviations, it takes time to learn that stuff. And anybody who thinks that they're going to learn this, you know, in a day or two and go out and burn down the casinos, they're going to have a hard lesson coming to them, because the casino is going to love to see you coming. You've got to put the proper time and effort into learning how to do this in order to do it properly. So just to recap, reasons why I like it is because there's a minimal startup cost to get into it. It has a very high earning potential. I can use team play to mitigate my risk, and you know, it's something that I can do. You know, as I said before, it's not easy, but it's easy enough so that I can learn to do it. It just takes time and practice. If you would like to learn more about card counting, I have a free video series up at the www.theultimateguidetochasing.com/cc, CC for card counting. And there's 9 videos and a PDF, and it will teach you all the basics that you need to know in order to get started. Now, this opportunity is not right for everyone, just like all the other opportunities that I explained. You know, certain people are going to latch on to certain things, and other people are going to be like, no way, that's just not for me. So, you know, hopefully this video was informative for you and helps you to analyze what opportunities are good for you. And if card counting is something that you think you might be interested in, go to my video series, hit the link, sign up for it, and you can find out for free whether this is something that's going to work for you or not. So best of luck to you in your search, and I hope to see you again.